Welcome to the HOFFEN Clinic, the flagship program of the Adventist Hospital for Mental Health Services in Davao City and the Mindanao region. So, HOFFEN Clinic provides mental health services such as psychological testing and counseling to various groups of people. Recently, we have encountered several families who are seeking evaluation services for their kids with special needs. We quickly realized that while it is important to look for help for our kids, parents also need support in terms of understanding about their child's diagnosis. They also need help in uh, looking for places where help can be had, and also in helping them adapt and accept their children's diagnosis. This realization came about because I also grew up with a specific learning disability, and also I became a teacher for kids with special needs, and now as a person working in the field of mental health. So, growing up dyslexic, I did not receive any interventions, and as a result, I experienced many mental health crises throughout my academic years. Also, my parents were at a loss at why I was not succeeding in school as expected, and they did not know how to help me. So, after working with many parents in the field of special education, I have seen again where parents and children struggle to understand the influence of their diagnosis in their daily lives, as well as the changes that happen as they grow older. So, our problems change. Uh, from toddlerhood to young adulthood. And now, as a mental health advocate, I saw the need to provide more information that would help parents deal with these changes or transitions much better. So, how come it is really important to know what the effects of a diagnosis is to the mental health of parents? So, why do we need to understand how it affects us as parents and caregivers? And it's really because of these three things that we feel raising kids with disabilities. So, first, we really experience an inordinate amount of stress, more so than regular parents know of kids without disabilities. There's more stress, there's more anxiety, and there's also cases where it can affect us in terms of feeling depressed. So stress is our response to stressors. Our anxiety is the fear of what ifs, especially when thinking about the future of our children. And depression is really the state of happiness, especially when we first hear about the diagnosis of our children. So, what is stress? According to the APA Dictionary of Psychology, stress is the physiological or psychological response to internal or external stressors. So, uh, to simplify it, it is our body and our mind's reaction to the problems and struggles that we encounter in life. In this specific instance, our struggle in raising kids with disabilities. So, how do we know about stress? So, we know it by the way it is manifested in our body and in our thinking, how we feel it, and how what are the kinds of thoughts that happen in our mind. Also, we can understand stress in terms of severity, how much pain or discomfort we experience. And also, we can uh, think about it in terms of the time that we experience it, how long we experience it. In many instances, we know that we are stressed out because we feel it in our body, such as palpitations, like rapid heartbeats. We may also have difficulty breathing. It feels like we are being choked. It's really difficult to breathe. Profuse sweating. We sweat a lot. We know we're stressed out because uh, we are sweating. And also sometimes we feel dryness in our mouth. We also know we are stressed when we fidget a lot, hindi ka mapakali, or when we experience a lot of these various issues like migraines and having stomach issues and all sorts of pains in our body. Or more significantly, sometimes if it's like a stress at the uh, present moment, at the very moment, there's accelerated speech, mabilis magsalita. We can also see this or stress in terms of the way that we behave. So for some people, when they feel stressed out, they can overeat. Uh, or sometimes you lack appetite, you undereat. For some people, uh, they may also use a lot of uh, imbibe a lot of things such as alcohol, smoke cigarettes, or for some who are really facing multiple stressors, can take illicit drugs. For some people also, it may look like lack of motivation in work. That can also affect their output and performance that could result to many things, such as losing a promotion, losing your job. Stress can also be experienced in terms of severity, as I previously said. So there are stressors that might only affect us a little bit, such as what we experience as daily annoyances, yung naiinis ka lang. For example, in a slow-moving line at a supermarket, or when we look for parking at the mall and there isn't any. But sometimes there are also stresses that causes um, severe experience of it, such as when a loved one passes away or when we lose a job. In some cases, students experience stress when we really try hard to study for end of the SEM exams. So that's another uh, level of stress that many people experience. In our case, when we talk about severity in terms of raising a kid with special needs, if the kids present mild severity, then it's not as severe as having a child that is diagnosed with a severe type of disability. We also experience stress in terms of time. Some stresses can be really short. So, for example, when we feel stressed out in that dentist chair, for example, or when we're in the doctor's office, sometimes stresses can be chronic or last a long time. So all throughout your lifetime, for example, especially when we're raising a child with disabilities, it can be stressful for a long time, especially if we haven't really found interventions that work for them. So it can be stressful for uh, long periods of time. We can also experience other problems such as being anxious a lot. So this is anxiety. So what is anxiety? So anxiety is defined as an emotion characterized by apprehension and somatic symptoms of tension in which an individual anticipates impending danger or a catastrophe or misfortune. So APA delineates the difference between fear and anxiety because sometimes we can change them interchangeably. We can confuse them with the other. And so APA explains it as fear. There is it's our response to a clear and present danger. So it's something that we see right there and then. For example, when we see a snake, for example, that's about to bite us, or a dog that's about to attack us, that is fear. Anxiety, although it has the same type of emotion that is triggered in us, it's the feeling of fear, dread, or uneasiness that is out of proportion to the stressor because the stressor is in reality not happening at the very moment. So For example, when we listen to news and the news is telling us about an economy crashing or violence in elections are so far away, and we feel the kind of dread or uneasy feeling that is anxiety. So in our case, we can think of anxiety as our dread of having our child grow up without all of these services. So we don't know what will happen to them when they go to school, for example, or how are they going to grow up. Or a lot of parents also worry about their kids when they're older or passed away, who will take care of their children. So what are the manifestations of anxiety? So sometimes some people they stutter a lot when they feel anxious. Uh, they may also experience a lot of heart problems, such as increased or varied heartbeat. Some people will experience hypertension, diseases of the heart, uh, poor sleep, and muscle tension. So that is something that we all have experienced in the past. How about depression? So, the APA Dictionary of Psychology defines depression as a negative affective state ranging from unhappiness and discontent to an extreme feeling of sadness, pessimism, and despondency that interferes with daily life. Some of the changes that a person experiences when they suffer from depression can be observed in also in their eating or sleeping patterns. Also, it may affect their ability to focus or concentrate, and they may also impair their ability to make decisions and even withdraw from families and friends. So, this is the most common that we see when we feel depressed, the withdrawal from our support systems. Many studies about incidents of depression among parents and caregivers of special needs children suggest that it is highly prevalent. So it really happens a lot to many people that take care of kids with special needs and has a great impact on the mental health of these adults. So for example, right now, as of 2021, there are 3.3 million Filipinos report being depressed. Part of it is from the pandemic, part of it is just uh, the general tendency of a population to experience depression. So, why is it important to take care of our mental health? And really, it's because it affects uh, a lot of aspects of our life. So, it affects our family, our work, and our general experience of life. Stress and anxiety and depression can cause changes in our minds and in our bodies that can impact our experience and enjoyment of life, the quality of our relationships, and the ability to function in our day to day activities. So in 2018, the mental health law was passed in the Philippines. Uh, that guaranteed several rights to Filipinos, such as access to mental health services in government hospitals and barangay health centers. It also aimed to integrate mental health in schools and workplaces by encouraging mental health programs in these institutions. And by highlighting the importance of mental health for everyone, we also recognize that parents of children with special needs experience extraordinary stresses or more than the usual from all the demands that is being asked of us to help our kids uh, live their lives to the fullest. So by improving the coping skills and resilience of parents and caregivers of kids with disabilities, we also ensure uh, the quality of life for our children as well. So, how do you improve your mental health? In this juncture, we will uh, look at three steps on how to improve your mental health if you're raising a child with a special need. So, the first one is really being self aware. One way is knowing your coping style. So, a coping style or a coping strategy is the way that you deal with these problems and difficulties that you encounter in your daily life. So, knowing about that really helps. Second, by evaluating and analyzing your coping strategy, you want to know whether what you're using is effective and positive and does not harm you or harm others in the process. The third step is improving your toolbox or resources by adding more skills to your toolbox or taking out the ineffective ones, the ones that do not help you so much. So, in research, there are three main coping strategies that people use a lot. So, the first one eh, are problem focused coping. So, problem focused coping, uh, for some people, it looks like this. So, some people they immediately look for ways to improve their state of being, such as finding solutions to problems right away. They may ask help from friends and family members for help. They may also look for more information to understand the situation better, and so they can devise a plan or a strategy to solve the problem. Secondly, some people go inward and change their perception of the problem. So for example, Filipinos are really known for using humor to lighten up the problems that they encounter. So we joke about it, we laugh at it, and we tend to make light of these situations, which is uh, also a good strategy in terms of alleviating stress and anxiety and depression. Some people they may turn to their faith or prayer to help them feel much better about their situation. Some people use a lot of distraction or avoidance to deal with their issues. So, behaviors such as alcohol consumption, cigarette smoking, using illicit drugs might help them manage some of the negative feelings that go with the stressors that they encounter. But admittedly, they do not really address the problems directly, so they avoid it. Not as dangerous as the previously mentioned. A lot of people also distract themselves from facing their problems by watching a lot of TV shows, listening to music a lot, uh, being on their computer games a lot, doing online shopping, or sometimes physically really putting space between themselves and their problems, like going away, taking a vacation, or uh, not wanting to be with the person that they have issues with. So a lot of people use those avoidance focused styles. Professionals recommend that we use a lot of problem focused coping because in that way we really address problems directly. Sometimes it also helps uh, to use emotion focused coping to help you really lessen the experience of stress, anxiety, and depression because it also helps and avoid using the third type of coping strategy, which is distracting yourself and using avoidance focused behaviors. In the next part of our webinar, we will ask you to determine your type of coping strategy that you employ. So we are going to use a worksheet called the Brief Cope. You may click on the link on this presentation or in the description box below entitled Coping Strategies. In this coping strategy worksheet, you have to answer by rating your use of a certain coping strategy and in the end, add all the similar ones from problem focused coping, emotional focused coping, emotion focused coping, and avoidance coping, and see whether something stands out among these coping strategies. And knowing that is going to help you determine whether you're using one of these three coping strategies more. And and that will also help us with the next thing. So when you have your total for the coping strategies, these are the three questions that you have to ask yourself. Do you think your strategies help you face difficulties and problems constructively or in a positive manner? The second question is, do you think they help you feel less stressed out, less anxious, and less depressed? And the third question is, does your coping strategy help you solve your problems or adapt your situation quicker? If the answer is no, I really recommend you to do the next activity about uh, evaluating your coping resources. But if you answered yes, you might also want to see uh, your coping resources, whether they're enough or if you need more help. So now that you have determined what kind of coping strategy you employ frequently, you can uh, look at your resources. In this part of the webinar, we will ask you to fill a resource box to help you determine what kind and how many resources you have in your life that may help you improve your coping and resilience factors. So this coping resource worksheet will list your coping resources, such as the example here, people you can turn to for emotional support. It will ask you to list the people that help you deal with your problems or people that you can talk to and ask for advice or emotional support. And you will rate your uh, the quality or how much of it you have. So one is few and five is a lot, very much. And you will go from top to bottom. So please click on the link entitled Resources in this presentation or in the description box below. Follow the instructions as stated in the worksheet. So now that you know about your resources and you can see whether you have enough, lack of it, or abundance of it, you can now augment your resources depending on how much you have. So here are resources that can help you improve or develop a toolbox that you can use at your convenience. So in this presentation, we present you with uh, web apps or websites or videos on YouTube that could help you understand certain areas or skills that you want to explore. So in this presentation, we present you with four examples. For example, there is a positivepsychology.com, which is a website that is a one-stop shop for your positive psychology resource about how to deal with stress, anxiety, and depression. You can see a lot of resources in there. If you want to know more about how sleep influences your mental health, you can click on this link right here, and it will directly send you to a video. Same for physical activity and exercise. And in this fourth one about maladaptive coping. If you are on your phone a lot, there are many phone apps that help you uh, gain more information or to provide you with skills such as Insight Timer, Headspace, which are meditation and guided meditation types of apps that are free. Some are paid. So the ones that I tend to recommend are free. So this one is day one journaling if you want to keep track of your day-to-day activities and that could help you alleviate the stress. So there are uh, instructions in there. Popular one is about adult coloring. So all in all, there are four in this presentation. But if you click on the next slide here, there are more links to more resources uh, out there. So I hope that you use this part of the presentation. Lastly, if you believe that you might need more support, such as information about your child's diagnosis, information about where to look for help, such as intervention centers, therapy centers, what kind of therapy your child might need, explanation of how it works, and more importantly, if you want to receive more intensive counseling about how to deal with the stresses of raising a child with a special need, you may reach out to us uh, about these services or for advices. I'm linking my phone number, my email address, and website, and will refer you to HOFFEN Clinic. Thank you for listening and see you around. Thank you.